Vikram, you are late again.
Sir, it's raining and the trains were late.
So what? I'm in the office.
Sir, but the trains were late.
I don't want to listen to any of your excuses. But get back to work. You're wasting my time, your time. Sir, but I want to. I'm late. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters,
Good evening.
Toastmaster, table topic master, and welcome guest. Today's topic is about leadership styles. Leadership style is one of my pathway projects. At the start of a meeting, I started with a small conversation. I'm very sure you might have correlated what that conversation between was. Who are the two actors in that conversation? So I will ask you a question. What kind of leadership did you see in that conversation?
Bully.
Okay. Anyone else want to try?
Aggressive.
Yeah, very good.
Bureaucratic, very demanding.
I agree. It's all correct. I won't say that wrong. I'll ask you one more question. How many of you think leadership skills can be developed? It's not a born talent in you. You can raise your hands. Okay. Oh, almost all of them. That's good. I'll ask you a follow-up question. What kind of skills do you think you should have to have a good leadership skill, this leadership style?
Listening.
Listening.
Enthusiasm for other people.
Very good. Enthusiasm for the other people.
Compassionate communication.
Very good. Communication.
Well, I want to add to that dynamic public speaking. If you're dynamic, you are more persuasive towards influencing others.
Yeah, that's good. Okay,
The diplomatic skills, diplomacy.
that's good. According to me, there are four more important, actually if we club everything, there are four important things which we discussed about. One, effective communication. Second, clear vision. Third, led by an example. And last but not the least, integrity. While reading about this project, I found 6 different styles of leadership. And while reading it, I was able to correlate that 6 different styles of leadership with the leaders, with the peers, with people I have worked in the past. And I was like, yeah, this is the style they have it. So there are 6 styles which we initially discussed about. First one is authoritative. Authoritative leadership are most effective leaders. They are decision makers. Sometimes back, if you remember, there was a data privacy issue with Facebook. And Facebook had to make corrections in their policy to keep the business continuing. That kind of a decision, the developer is not going to make it, right? It was Mark Zuckerberg who took that decision, who cleared the vision, created a new policy, and got Facebook back in business. Second style is coaching style. Coaching style is very simple. You can correlate coaching style with teacher, student, or even mentor, which we have it in Toastmasters. In coaching style, we don't tell somebody what to do. We show them, we help them to discover how to do it and get the things done. Third style of leadership is democratic style. Democratic style, also known as participative style. Participative style is, it includes participation of all the members in the group to come to a decision. This participative style or democratic style of leadership is very good. Maybe, may not be. The fifth one is affiliated style. This style of leadership is more like harmony. For example, when you join a new organization, you feel like you are unsettled. You are like a new fish in a pond. That's where the supervisor, your leader, HR plays a pivotal role to make your brain come to that level of anxiety and help you out to settle down, be comfortable. They are your Cerberus that helps you out to settle it by giving you this Cerberus. Yeah. Fifth one is pace setting style. Pace setting style of leadership sets high standards for themselves as well as their followers. They are one of the leaders. They will not let your followers do something which they have not done by themselves. And the last one is commanding style. Don't abuse this style. Commanding style of leadership is also very helpful, mainly in the situation when there is fire. When the firefighter comes and they are commanding, if you don't listen to them, you put your life in threat. Coming back to my question, what kind of leadership, what do you think out of the 6, which one is the best leadership style? Which one would you vote for?
In what circumstance?
Exactly. It depends on the circumstances. There is no one single leadership style which you have to continue or which you can see in a leader. It depends on the circumstances. Depending on that, you adopt the leadership style. While doing this, I realized that leadership is not a tag which can be labeled on somebody's forehead. Leadership is an ability to get an extraordinary effort, extraordinary work from somebody, from an ordinary person. Leadership normally are put at the top of the hierarchy. But my understanding says a leader should have the knowledge of all the levels. So they should be at the base where they understand everything. This will empower the employee and the employee and the organization to grow. Let's get back to the question which we just answered. Leadership is the best. Leadership is depending on the situation. Now in the start of my conversation, I started with a small discussion which we say is, and we said that it is different type of leadership, but it was more like a commanding, because the person whom I was working with, he was an ex-general army officer. So that was his style of leadership. You can't employ some method for everybody. So tomorrow when you go back to your office, you find some rebellion, encompass people around you. Now you know, depending on the situation, they change your leadership style. That's what my goal is. Whatever you do it with your style. Back to Toastmasters. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikram. And while the evaluator is taking notes, we'll go around the room and give Vikram some feedback ourselves. Does anybody have any feedback for Vikram?
I thought it was great that you were engaging the audience initially.
Thank you. Anybody else? Sam, yes.
Vikram, I really enjoyed how your use of questions, the way you engage the audience. But my personal opinion is that when you use too many questions, there's a chance that you lose control of your speech. Someone might start talking during your speech, and it distracts from the focus of what you're saying. And I noticed that you went a little over time of your allotted time, so maybe like cut down on the number of questions, but still, I really enjoyed it because it definitely were very engaging.
Shannon?
Vikram, I thought that your opening skit was an excellent example of storytelling through voice and body. We could tell definitely who these two different characters were. A suggestion I have for you is, because you did such a good job on that, you didn't need to keep turning back and forth. I think you could have just stood in one spot, and the employee was very meek, and then the boss was very aggressive, so just by changing your posture, you could show us who was doing it, and that would also save time. The thing that I found most interesting about your speech was the idea that you use different leadership skills in different situations. What I would like to see is, because this is your pathways major, perhaps in another speech you would give us examples of situations and perhaps discuss, well, if you use this style, this might happen. If you use this other style, this might happen. So that would be a suggestion I'd like to see you consider.
Thank you, Shannon. And I see the evaluator is just about ready. Madam Evaluator, why don't you come up and tell us what you thought?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our honored guests. I like the fact that our Toastmaster said share with I thought. That's exactly what an evaluation is. It doesn't say I'm an expert. I'm just going to share my opinion on what I thought about Vikram's speech on leadership. Vikram, I'm glad I signed up to evaluate this speech. I actually did the same speech last week. You had a much better title than I did, but I won't hold that against you. I love the fact that you opened with that one skit. I actually enjoyed it. Good use of vocal variety. I think it was easy for me to pick up the tension between employer and employee. Thought that was nicely done. I actually liked the number of questions you did to engage the group. You may just want to be a little direct and say, I really would like a response, or even better, call on somebody to respond instead of waiting. I generally find that to be a little more effective. I love the fact that you shared the qualities that makes up a good, effective leader. I like certain things you said. I liked